So last week at the grocery store, I ended up picking up a huge box of those really delicious tangerine or clementine oranges, and they were just amazing. So I decided to have like 10 of them. Why not, right? Like they're just so good. But anyways, what that did to me a few days later is I ended up getting about six cankers on my lip. Like so painful, and it's just something that I never have oranges, so I knew that that was the food that was irritating me. So that made me realize, wow, a lot of what we're putting in our body, a lot of people don't realize how that's affecting their health. So most of us associate food intolerances with gut issues, feeling bloated, maybe just feeling tired after, or diarrhea. You just think, oh, you eat something and it's going to affect you right away. But there's something called an IgG immune response. So this is where your immune system creates a great deal of inflammation, and that could even be 7 to 10 days later. So it's very hard to detect which foods could be irritating you, unless it was like myself, where you eat pretty much very similar foods all the time and you just introduce one thing excessively. Yeah, it's a lot more acidic as well, but now I just realized even after one orange, that can flare up my symptoms as well. So I just know I just stay away from those foods. But a lot of us eat things all the time where we don't even know why. So it can, we don't know that it's actually causing those issues. So if you have any acne or inflammatory response, if you are tired all the time, if you get any kind of like hives or eczema is a big one, bloating, you definitely want to get your food intolerances tested, because these are things that if you've been living with for a long time, it's hard to kind of like pinpoint those issues without sending your blood away to a lab and actually getting the results checked. So this lab that we send your blood to, it's really cool because it tells the IgG response, because most of us know the IgE, where it's like peanuts, and then they all of a sudden their throat starts closing up and it's an IgE anaphylactic reaction. So that's not what we want to test. We want to know what's more of the delayed response, what's causing more inflammation in the body, and what is actually irritating your system. So this lab will send a full report back saying, okay, this food is a 4 out of 4. It's very highly sensitive and you need to eliminate it. Or it could even just be like 1 out of 4, where it's more of a gentle, a softer inflammatory reaction. So maybe just reduce how much you have it in your system. So anything that you're eating now that could potentially be causing more of a food or any kind of symptom in the body, this lab test will tell. There's another way that you can do this, where we give you what's called an anti-inflammatory diet, and you follow a really clean eating diet for about 30 days, and then you start reintroducing these foods every 3 days. So for example, you'd be eating clean, and then maybe you add in tomatoes are a common nightshade inflammatory food. So 3 days of having tomatoes. If no flare up of arthritis or joint pain or skin issues, then you keep that in the diet. Then maybe you try wheat or any gluten products. So you try one thing at a time, and you can have a better sense of how your body is reacting. A lot of people just avoid wheat or gluten in general because it does tend to be more inflammatory, but not everyone has to. And that's same with cow milk and dairy. A lot of us, you just know you don't feel good off it, or it's more phlegmy or acidic. So most people do want to avoid that, but it's kind of nice because I've seen this test come back where broccoli, my kids would love that if that came back on their food test. Or I've seen almonds. So people that eat the same things all the time, that tends to irritate the immune system as well. So you really want to have that variation in the diet. But this testing gives us a good indication. The other thing is, if this test comes back and there's over 10 or 15 foods that are actually flagged as an issue, then it gives us a sign that, okay, maybe we need to work with your gut and your digestive system, because leaky gut could be an issue where everything is now just inflaming you. So there's multiple ways that I use that test. For me personally, I was able just to tell, okay, I had this reaction, and I know that food needs to go. But for a lot of you who are living with certain symptoms and conditions for most of your life, it's really good to kind of pinpoint which foods could be the issue and get rid of them.